Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about this amazing episode 25 of Erkenci. Before I start, I want to apologize if you hear anyone talking in the other room. As you might have noticed, this is not my usual filming place, so yeah, just a heads up. So we start off at the seaside and my heart melted when John said, yeah, I would do everything or anything just to have you next to me. My heart melted so much. So before John arrived at the agency, we see Emre talking on the phone with Eileen, and I was like, oh my god, way too soon. I saw this woman way too soon in the episode. But Emre said, I don't want you in my life. I did what you said, so leave me alone, and she was all happy about it. Then we get John and Sanem entering the company and her being like, well, we shouldn't go together because they don't know about it yet. And he's like, F it, I don't care, let's go together hand in hand. And I kind of had this flashback of the party where Fabio wanted to dance with Sanem, where she had this pink gown on, beautiful, and John took her hand as he did this time, and he was like a man on a mission, going and going, and she just looked at their hands, looked at him, walked behind him kind of like in trance, and everyone looking at them. And as they walked through the agency, all I could look at was John's coat, because I love this coat so much. I might have a coat fetish, I don't know, but it looks so soft. I love this coat so much. And then when they get there, and goodness, it was like the happiest day of her life. She's like, oh my god, it all makes sense, I was right all along. JJ was also happy because he's like, okay, it's out in the world, everyone knows about it, I can live my life now. The only person I felt really bad for was Daran. Even though I don't like her at times, she's an essential part of this company, you could say. You could see her break. Her heart broke the moment she saw their hands, and I felt so bad. And the whole episode through, she didn't scream. She was like a different person. She didn't care about anyone. She was like, do whatever you want, I want all the campaigns to be black. And then JJ kind of trying to get her going again, being like, okay, I'll take care of you, come on, I'll give you some coffee. But then Goodis gives her this specialty, which makes her even more mushy. And then JJ is like, what did you do? But then at the same time he's like, oh, maybe I'll be a creative director. What I did like about Daran was when Sanem was having all those thoughts about this dinner that John will have with Jada and Mackinnon. She's like, well, what will happen, blah blah blah. And Daran said, just think of it as a professional dinner, nothing is going to happen, don't work your mind up. So I really liked Daran talking positively to Sanem to kind of calm her down, to tell her how these things work, because Sanem has never really been to such a dinner. Where I laughed out loud after John told everyone the news that they're together, and John was like, well, good luck with work, and was like, and then JJ like doing the same thing. I laughed so much, even though it was a fraction of a second. I saw it and I loved it. And then the preview happened, which I won't go in depth in because I've already analyzed it in my previous video. And the same goes for this thing that JJ gave Sanem for the evil eye, because everyone kept looking at Sanem, especially Daran. Then we have this whole Emre and Layla thing, and you could really see that he is desperate for her. He wants to have her near him, he wants her to work for him, and you can see it because he kept calling her, she didn't answer. He kept asking the people, where's Layla, didn't she come, what is up with her? He asked Sanem, what is wrong with Layla, why didn't she come? And then he goes to their neighborhood, and I'm like, oh my god, Emma went to the neighborhood. He never did stuff like that with Eileen. They didn't see each other for days and days, and he didn't care. He just popped in like once a week, I would say, and then that was it. But he can't be without Layla for more than a day. And then when they were talking, I love that Layla wasn't backing down. She had a firm stance, because to be honest, he hurt her, and then he told Layla he doesn't want to lose her. I'm like, oh my god, what is happening? Like seriously, Emre saying stuff like that, I wouldn't have thought that he would be capable of doing that. And then Osman comes and I'm like, oh my god. And I think this is the moment Emre saw Osman for real for the first time, because up until now he was just Osman, the guy who was a model for this campaign, the guy who played Sanem's fiance, and now he's my competition, Emre would think. And then the next day, once again, he asks people, where's Layla? He calls and then he's like, well, we always work together, why didn't you come here? Because they need you, I need you. But she's like so angry, and she tells him where everything is, and he's like, back, there, you can find it, bye. But then she calls Sanem, and Sanem is kind of pursuing her and telling her you should come to show him you're not heartbroken, you're not desperate. So Layla comes back and he's like all happy again, and when he sees her walk in, he finishes the call, doesn't even speak anymore. And then she's like, I didn't come for you, I came for the job because I also need to talk to Can because she wants to take a year off. And then Güliz is like, come here, we want to try out some makeup. And Layla looks so good. She looked so pretty with that eye makeup on. Oh, before that, Güliz was like, well, you look like a model, you should do a campaign. And I was thinking, is this the first step to Layla being a model and maybe doing a campaign with Osman? Could be. The scene that I really liked was when Layla was in Emre's office and she had all those folders in her hand, and Osman calls and they didn't really talk that much, like Layla and Emre. And then as soon as Layla said, hello Osman, he was like always talking, making sure that Osman would hear that she's in his office, and he's like, I need this folder. And then she talks with Osman when she says, you have a surprise, and he's like, Layla, I need this folder. I was like, oh my god, like this is happening, this war started, and I'm all in for it because I love to see this triangle play out. And then Osman picks Layla up because the surprise was the car he bought from the money he made. So he takes Layla to the bridge and they look out, and I'm like, oh my god, does he think this is a date? And then he starts talking, and then as soon as I hear the word Ashim, I was like, no, Osman, don't do this. Oh my god. Like, years and years have passed and she didn't see you as a boyfriend material, and then he says, well, I love you and I've changed, but my love for you didn't change. I felt so bad. Like, I felt happy that Osman finally confessed, but I also felt bad for him because I know that Layla doesn't feel the same for him because she loves Emre. And he just says, well, just give me one chance. And I was like, oh my god, no. And then Layla didn't say a thing, and I felt for her. I could see it in her eyes, and I felt so bad, and I was cringing so much, and I was like, no. So I totally got Layla, and then she kind of tried not to answer, but at the same time saying, well, let's get home, kind of. I don't know how to explain it, but it was emotionally draining for me because I felt for Osman, but I also understood the position Layla was in. And then he's like, well, you don't have to answer, just take your time, but give me a chance. And I felt so bad for him. So I really do hope that him and Dagan kind of get together. We also have Jada coming with Mekinen. I was like, oh my god, woman, I didn't need you. I didn't need you this soon. So she's like, hi Can, and as I already said in my previous video, she has that walk, and then she looks at Sanem and it's like, yeah, whatever, you can go, you're just an employee, he will be with me. And then when they have this meeting and Can is talking with Mekinen, she has this look in her eyes, she's like daydreaming about her future with Can and him being together with her, and she's like, yes, and this is the best agency and he's the best, and always like, oh my god, I just And then when they walk out, she looks at Sanem like, look at me. Well then, no, he doesn't like you like that. And Emre also picked up on this thing. John and Emre have this talk and he's like, well, Jada is interested in you, and John is like, I don't see her as that. But no. Before she left, she told John, well, I made a reservation. John is like, okay, yeah. No, not this again. But I can understand it because he wants to build a relationship with Mekanin, like a business relationship. After Jada went away, John and Sanem had this talk also about Emre and Layla. He said that he's never seen Emre this happy and he doesn't know what happened. So I really do hope that he puts the pieces together and kind of helps Emre with this problem called Eileen. He kind of knows that something is wrong because one moment Emre was happy with Layla and the next moment they broke up. So there's something wrong, and I really do hope that John will figure it out. This episode we also got to see Handyman John. So up until now we got to see Jealous John, Happy John, Goofy John, Dancy John, Sporty John, and now we got to see Handyman John because he went into a room and I was like, is this the kitchen? But then I noticed, no, it's not. It's a room we've never been into. And then I saw 2 irons standing there and I'm like, who needs 2 irons? But just a thought of mine. But anyways, we got to see Handyman John, and at that moment I was like, okay, he's either handcrafting a necklace for Sanem or a ring. So we get Sanem telling Mevkebe about what John said, and Sanem is kind of apprehensive, kind of, well, he doesn't mean it like that, but he has good intentions, so sometime it will happen. So I think Sanem is like, well, as long as there isn't a ring and he didn't really propose, he doesn't really mean it. But Mevkebe has this really hard job and I felt so bad for Mevkebe and for Nihat. So Mevkebe kind of tries to keep it a secret, but she also wants to tell her happiness, and she told it Melahat. Wrong person, because Melahat can't keep her mouth shut and she didn't. I was like, oh my god, Mevkebe, you shouldn't have done that. Because I soon then heard the news. She also saw this article about John not thinking about marriage, and that's the article that was written when the whole gym thing happened with Jada and Sanem being there, and that's what I soon gives Mevkebe. Look at that, the person you thought would marry your daughter doesn't think about marriage, blah blah blah. And Mevkebe is all angry and doesn't understand what is happening anymore, and then she tries to tell Nihat all those things. So she kind of tries to see how he reacts about this other person from their neighborhood having a wedding, and she's the same age as Sanem, and he doesn't see it very positively. And then sometime later she's in the shop again and he comes like really angry, and I had to laugh because they thought they were talking about the same thing but they weren't. So she talked about John and Sanem and he's like, oh my god, where did you hear it, blah blah blah, but he's talking about the price of the sugar being way too high. And then she said it, that I'll talk to you tonight. That was so bad because that night when he closed the shop, Ison came and was like, well, congratulations, Sanem is marrying John, blah blah blah. And he was so angry, and I don't think I've ever seen Nihat this angry for such a long period of time. And I felt so bad for Mevkebe when he got angry with her. At the same time, I kind of understood that he felt betrayed and kind of left out, because I think he wouldn't have been that angry when he heard about John and Sanem. He was more hurt about the fact that everyone knew except for him. And I mean, he's the father, he shouldn't be one of the first person to know about it. And I also felt so bad when he had to sleep in the shop, and then the next day Sanem goes to him and he doesn't really talk to her. I felt really bad, like I got really emotional. And at the same time, Mevkebe waiting for him at night, being all sad and crying. And then the next day when Mevkebe comes running and is like, he didn't come, did he? And Sanem is like, oh, Layla is like, no, he didn't, but he slept in the shop. But before all of that happened, we have Sanem and Mevkebe looking through old stuff Mevkebe kept from Sanem and Layla's childhood, and in a box there was a key, and I was like, what key is that? And then we get Sanem walking up to this house, this old house. I didn't understand a single thing. And then she took John there and told him about how she found this place, and it's a really nice story. And then she takes this box from that fireplace, and I think the key was from the box. And then you hear what is written on that note that Sanem gave John, and it was so beautifully written. Before they arrived there, they met with this old man. He gave her bird houses. She also explained why, because there weren't any birds anymore, and she wants them to come back to this house, blah blah blah. They hang those houses back, and they talk about rescuing dogs and animals in general, maybe building a shelter. Oh yeah, we also had this conversation where John tells Emre that he proposed to Sanem, and he tells him how he did it, and Emre is like, very romantic proposal, bravo. I thought it was really sarcastic, and even John got it. And after that, when he's sitting in his bedroom, he takes out a box for a ring. So I knew in that second that one, he made a ring for Sanem, because I loved so much watching that scene where Sanem was kind of creaming her hands and all her rings were laid out, and he took one and couldn't get it off. I laughed so much. And then him talking to her, kind of prolonging her not taking the rings, and him trying to get it off with his foot, also like putting his finger in this liquid. I suppose it was hot because he didn't look pleased at all. I laughed so much. But one thing that I didn't really get was I didn't see him putting the ring back. But then after some time, after Dagan talked to her, she took all the rings, so, and didn't notice anything. So I don't know, but that was kind of a thing that I was missing. Maybe it's just me, but yeah. And secondly, he wanted to propose to her. Maybe he wanted to take her to the cabin because the cabin has a really special meaning for them. Or he could also take her to his childhood home where he told her that he loved her. So those two are proposal spots, in my opinion. We also get Sanem trying to tell her father, and she always kept looking at him and he looked up at her, and we got this new angle of the kitchen. And then when she's like, okay, I'm going to tell him, and then was like 3, 2, 1 and told him, and he started shaking. I was shocked and I laughed out loud. I couldn't believe it, but then I saw Sanem's reaction, so I was like, okay, she's just imagining it. And then she's like, no, I couldn't tell him. And then we also had Muzo. Oh my god, he was amazing. When he attempted suicide because he heard the news of John and Sanem getting married, and then Osman carrying him to his mother, and Ayşe being like, don't be stupid, look at that, he doesn't think about marriage. And then Muzo's like, I'm his biggest fan, what a nice guy, he's a smart person. I laughed so much. And then JJ, oh my god, loved him as well when he tried out makeup. And then one night he invited Ayhan to try those products out, and then she put foot cream on her face. Oh my god. And then him leaving the mask on for way too long. Instead of 3 minutes, he left it on for 30 minutes. Oh my god, I laughed so much. And then he kind of had this allergic reaction. He was all red. I don't even have to mention Ayhan because she was really red. But then the next day he's trying everything to conceal the redness. Oh, I completely forgot that John also tried on lip gloss. I was like, what is he doing? But then I saw him trying on this lip gloss and being like, what is this? And then Sanem comes and explains it to him, and he's like, what is this? I thought it was lipstick, but it's not. Oh my god, I loved it so much. Him trying everything out, amazing. This episode I was like, JJ is the official Janem protector, because after the meeting they had where they came up with the ideas for the campaign, John and Sanem were talking to each other and everyone is looking at them, and JJ kept pushing them, go back to work, blah blah blah. And then the dinner happens and Jada is like, here he comes, and she's all happy. And then she sees Sanem as well, and then she's like, here they come. And then John is like, we're sorry, there was so much traffic. And he takes his chair and slides it to like next to Sanem's chair to be kind of far away from Jada, but to be very, very close to Sanem. And then he tells that Sanem is his girlfriend, and Jada is like she died inside. And I was so happy about it that she finally got the message. And then this whole dinner happens and Fabrik walks in. I didn't expect that Mekanen would have problem with Fabrik, but he has. So this makes the story way more interesting. And John was really angry and the dinner was quite awkward. And then Mekanen told John the whole problem he had with Fabrik. So I think that was kind of an information how the story might go, because Sanem also owes Fabrik a perfume. And then the next day we get John going to Fabrik being all angry. And in my previous video I said that Fabrik gets hit by John because he said we'll see about that, and I thought the wedding, that sentence actually was referring to the shares or the perfume, one of those. I don't remember it correctly, but anyways, he got hit because of what he said about Sanem, because he said, well, I just want her perfume at the moment and you can have Sanem. And then he makes this pause and is like, for now, and he hit him. And I'm like, oh, yes. But before that happened, Emre told Eileen about the deal with Mekanen, and it's bad because Mekanen doesn't like Fabrik and Fabrik has the shares, so she has to kind of solve this. And I'm like, no, don't do this. Like, I thought you learned your lesson. Emre also said John would give everything, so he shouldn't be stupid, he should take the deal, but he doesn't, because he talks to Eileen. And after John left Fabrik, he smiled and Eileen came in, and it was kind of planned for it to happen that way, to make John angry and to get this far, so Fabrik would have a reason to file a complaint against John, which happened. Because as soon as John came back to the agency and they told what happened with Fabrik, and then the police comes and tells him John has to come to the station because they have a complaint against him. And you could see that Emre was also shocked, so he didn't know about it, so he has nothing to do with it, and I'm happy about it. And then the episode ends. And now to Alex's predictions for episode 26. So in the preview we get Sanem working at John's desk, so I think that she's working on the beauty campaign they have for Mekanen. So either John didn't tell Mekanen about Fabri's shares, or Mekanen knows about them but it's like, I don't care, I want to work with you. That's all I could gather from the preview. Then the first trailer aired and we get John coming and everyone's like, John came, John came. Then we get Emre talking to their mom about Sanem. Then Mevkube telling Nihat there's no wedding happening, Fabrik transferring the shares to Eileen, and Sanem accepting Fabrik's proposal or deal with the perfume, and Eileen coming back to the company because she has the shares. So I think Sanem will accept Fabrik's deal because John is still at the station, because when you look at it, at the end of the episode he has his hair all together. When he comes back and everyone is happy about it, he has his hair half up, half down, so it means he stayed minimum overnight. Layla tells Sanem after she made the perfume at night, haven't you heard about Eileen? So I think Fabrik will give Eileen his shares right after episode 25. Sanem accepting the deal, making the perfume, and while she's gone talking to Fabrik and everything, news go around about Eileen getting the shares from Fabrik because Layla knows about it but Sanem doesn't. And then at night, when John is still at the police station, Sanem makes her perfume. Emre talks to their mother and tells her about Sanem, maybe about the proposal. So maybe we will get Mama Divit for the first time. What I also saw was Anil, so the person who plays JJ, posted yesterday for me. I don't know when this is going to be up, but he posted in his Insta stories a New Year's Eve party at John's house. So that's going to happen. I think it's a New Year's Eve party. John also posted like a video or 2 or maybe 3. He had his hand like this kind of, and you could see on his finger a golden ring, and he was talking with Demet about rescuing animals, blah blah blah. So they get engaged, that's for sure, because they were talking about rescuing dogs. Maybe they will make a shelter out of that house, so they will start rescuing dogs, animals in general, and starting to build a shelter. So maybe that's a present for Sanem. So my prediction for next episode is a Janem proposal, where the ring contains half of that stone that was broken, Mama Divit appearing, John and Sanem rescuing animals and building an animal shelter out of that house that Sanem brought John to. And what else did I say? Oh my god, my mind. Yeah, I think that's all. If not, just refer to everything I said before. This is it for my review. I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't forget anything, and I also hope that it's not all over the place and too confusing. But yeah, I tried my best to keep it on the same level as I did in my previous videos. If you still like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It will really mean a lot to me. Subscribe to my channel to see more Erkenci Kush reviews or videos that I make. And I think this is the last video I will post in 2018, so Happy New Year to you, and I will see you next year. Bye!